This is the Making Noise podcast.
Contemporary musicians always get asked. It was like, when did you know that you wanted to do contemporary music? There's this little bookstore in Target. It's a used, or not Target. Now I'm in the Target state of mind. There's this little bookstore in Boston, which is completely different from Target. That's downtown. It's called Brattle Bookshop. Used bookstore with a really great selection. A lot of used bookstores, you get the books people didn't want, but somehow they get a really good selection. And I found Philip Glass's memoir, Words Without Music. And I was like, that's a name that I recognize. I'll pick that up. And I can't say that his music is 100% for me. I'm not the audience that he's reaching for with his music, but he's got a lot of really, really profound things to say in that book about listening to music and what music means to people, and a little bit of like really practical things about listening when it relates to performing. But one of the things he talks about in there is the point in his life where he was able to say, now I'm just a musician, because he was a cab driver and a plumber and this and that, and he talks about the point where he was finally able to say, I'm no longer a cab driver who composes, now I am a composer. And that's, I sort of feel like I don't want to make my assumptions, but when you tag the podcast with finding a career in music, that's sort of where I feel like that point is because I think every musician is like, I want to be a musician, but for right now I have to work at Target, or before this I worked at the concert hall at NEC, or I'm an ensemble manager, or if they're lucky enough to find something in music, I'm an ensemble manager, but I want to be a performer or something like that. And then I just really want that one day when it's like, I no longer am I working any of that. Now I'm a musician. So
what a great anecdote to bring up, especially in this time. Well, I don't know, is that considered an anecdote? I don't even know. Factoid.
Yeah, well, it was an anecdote about a factoid, maybe.
Yeah.
An anecdote about how I came across that factoid.
Right. Yeah. It's so cool. I know I have that same exact thought too. Like the moment where I can say I'm a full-time musician, like where I make all of my money from music, and not only do I make all my money from music, I make enough money to earn a living.
Yeah.
And I think what you just mentioned with Philip Glass's story is so pertinent, and resonates really, probably with all of us.
Yeah, and the thing that's really inspiring about his as well is I think it was pretty late for him. I think he was in his 40s maybe, which could serve to terrify, and I hope that my mentioning that doesn't serve to terrify, but to me that it serves to inspire that, like, he knew it was gonna be one day, and he saw it through, and it happened for him. And I think that it's been several years since I read the book, but I believe that one of the other things that's mentioned is he writes, like I said, for a very niche audience, but he didn't compromise that for popularity, which is something that I think is really, really important about who he is as a composer.
Yeah, that says a lot about his what do you say, like his remaining true to his art and his craft. And not to say that if you shift at all, that means you're no longer remaining true. I mean, it's a common thing for us people when we're fans of a musician. Like, let's say, I don't know, I'm just gonna say Portugal the Man because I've been a fan of them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you listen to the first 3 albums, like since they come out, and then like years later, they're really well known, and it's like, screw you, man, I was there since day one. Like, that whole loyal,
Yeah.
purist, whatever you want to call it, but that I think is a part of the artistic journey or artistic development, to kind of grow and stuff. And so, and it's funny too that you mentioned how he wasn't in it for the popularity, which is really clear looking at the trajectory of his career. But it's funny too to see how now he's probably the most well-known contemporary composer outside of like Hans Zimmer and John Williams.
Yeah, and I mean a big part of that is you don't have to listen for very long to know, like, this is Philip Glass.
Totally.
Because I mean, something that I do really find fascinating in his music is, it's very minimalistic, process oriented. It's like him and Reich being like the quintessence of minimalism. But the orchestration in Philip Glass's music is very unique. I mean, it's very, very transparent and gets this. I mean, a lot of it almost makes for like the perception of an electronically synthesized sound, in like how clear and transparent it is, and so I mean, I feel like that's something that often gets overlooked, but with the mix of the very process oriented minimalism and the orchestration that people often overlook, it's like you can't hear any of that music and say that's not Philip Glass.